Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss the current affairs of 16th December 2021. The current affair discussion is going to be important from the prelims and mains point of view of the CSE exam. So let's get started. The first current affairs we have got is related to Durga Puja, which is inscribed or given or included in the UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage site. So recently the context, this is important for the art and culture point of view. So Durga Puja, which is celebrated mostly and in a very pomp and show in Kolkata. So it has been included now in the UNESCO's representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. So far, we have got the 14 intangible cultural heritage elements in India, including all those. Now, what are the implications of this? Implications of this inclusion will be that it will give a lot of encouragement to the local people who celebrate the festival. At the same time, it will also encourage craftspeople, designers, artists, and also organizers of this festival. Apart from this one, this will also bring a lot of tourists and the visitors who participate in the festival. Now let's see about the Durga Puja. Okay, Durga Puja is a 5 day celebration, 5 day festival, which begins on the fifth night of the ninth day Navratri festival, and it will be ending on the 10th day, which is called the Dashami. And in this festival, they worship the goddess Durga. So we can say this is a very classic fusion of the religion and culture. But apart from this, there are many more intangible cultural heritage in India. Those we can see just a glance. You can go through the different UNESCO's Indian cultural heritage sites. Okay, so I'll just tell the names. You can go through the detail. We will not see the detail now. So we have got the Buddhist chanting that is included there. Then you have got the Chahu dance from Maharashtra, and you have got Kalbalia. So this is a folk song and dance from the Rajasthan. Then we have got this Kuti Kudiyattam. Okay, so this is the theoretical practiced in the Kerala. Uh, then we have got this Kumbh Mela, which is organized after 12 years. Everybody knows that one. Okay, then you have got the Mudiyat. Okay, so this is a ritual dance drama from the state of Kerala itself. Okay, then seventh, you have got the Nowruz, okay, Persian New Year celebrated worldwide, so that is also declared. Then you have got the Ram Leela and Ramayan, then Sankirtana, then this traditional brass and copper crafts of the utensils making. So this is a traditionally kind of utensils which are made using the help of this uh, copper crafts. Okay, then you have got the Vedic chanting that is also included there. Okay, and yoga, and last we have got 14th one, this new Durga Puja. So let us see now what are the intangible cultural heritage. What is the meaning of this one? Okay, what it is. So UNESCO says that in this intangible cultural heritage, they include any kind of traditions or living expressions which has been inherited from the ancestors and passed to the next generation. It could be like oral tradition or performing any kinds of arts or any social practice or rituals, festive events, knowledge practices, or anything. It could, which is concerning to the nature and the universe. So old practices, performing dance, social practices, rituals, festive events, knowledge, which are concernedly mainly related to the nature and the universe. Okay, and they have been passed from the last generation to the next generation. It could also include any kind of knowledge and skill also. And the aim, very basic aim of this inclusion of these in the UNESCO cultural heritage list is that it wants to protect them, okay, because they are very important from the cultural point of view, okay, for a very particular country context, at the same time for the world also. So they have to be protected. Now this list was started in 2008 when the 3 Convention of the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage took effect. Okay. Yes. So there can be kind of a main questions from this current affairs also, like discuss the significance of UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage. So you have to basically write why they are important. Okay, so main questions can be framed from this. Now next we have got is Solar Masood Raja Suhaldev battle. So what is the context? You know, in history we have got a topic from the Indian history, important events and personalities. So from there it can be the part of the questions or current affairs. What is the context? The inaugural event of this Kashi Vishwanath Dham corridor in Varanasi, when Modi was addressing there, he actually referred this actually battle of Solar Masood and Raja Sahaldev. Okay, so because he mentioned this becomes important for the current affairs of the exam. So let us see this who this Solar Masood was. Okay, he is also known as the Ghazi Mian, and he got a lot of popularity as a warrior in the 12th century. And he was the nephew of very 11th century Turkic invader, which everybody knows, Muhammad of Ghazni. Okay, so he was his nephew, and his tomb of he has got his tomb at Bahriyaj in Uttar Pradesh, okay, and which stands as a place of pilgrims where large number of Muslims they visit there, okay, and even this Mughal Emperor Akbar, okay, it is said that he had given a land grant in 1571 CE for the sake of maintaining the Ghazi Mian shrine, so it has to be maintained, and you know the Akbar had given some amount of land grant for that. And you see this particular person, he is very well known, has got popularity because he earned a very good name as a warrior because he died while fighting. So that's about him. And after that we see this Raja Suhaldev. Okay, Suhaldev is believed to have the eldest son of the king of Bhar community, which emerges from the Parsi community. Parsi community is a Dalit class group of this region. Okay, now controversy is there beside surrounding these both personalities. Some people they believe that, you know, those who believe or those who worship this Ghazi Mian, they perceive that Sahaldev as a king of local tribe. Sahaldev was a local tribe king, and he was a oppressor to the people also to whom he ruled. So these people they appreciate or worship Ghazi Mian, at the same time they blame Sahaldev. Next, what we see here, some people what they say that this Sahaldev he was a warring identity because those who came from the outside, this Sahaldev was a kind of savior for them. Okay, so those invaders, foreign invaders who came, he used to protect them. So it has got a kind of divided viewpoint. Some people support this Ghazi Mian. Some people actually have the very good uh, respect for the Sahaldev. And you see celebration is being done, okay, carried out in the memory of the Maharaja Sahaldev. And during February 2016, BJP President Daden Amit Shah hailed Sahaldev as the national hero. Okay, uh, Indian Railway also started Sahaldev Express from Ghazipur. Okay, so these are the kind of facts which can be asked in the exam. And in 2017, Uttar Pradesh government they declared that they have a plan to install a statue of Sahaldev at Lucknow. Okay, so this can be important for the prelims. At the same time, mains point of view, they can ask you who was Raja Sahaldev, discuss. So around these, you have to these points you can be helpful to write that. Third, we have got the special status for Bihar. Okay, so government policy and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising out of the design and the implementation. This is a part of the GS paper too. It can be helpful there. Okay, so what happened? There has been a demand for the special category states from Bihar, and the present president CM there, Nitish Kumar, has been demanding since 15 years that Bihar should be given a special category status. Now let's see the comparison of the Bihar with the other states. Okay, latest report of the Niti Aayog, which puts or which says that Bihar stands at the bottom in among all the states in terms of the growth rate and the Human Development Index. And when we see about the Bihar's annual per capita income, which is 50,735, which is much lower than the national figure, which is 1,34,432. This same report, which was given by the Niti Aayog, it says that 51.91% of the state's population, these people live below poverty line, so which is almost more than half of it. Okay, and Bihar at the same time in other areas also, Bihar is doing badly in terms of the school dropout. There is a huge dropout from the school. There is child malnutrition. Okay, then maternal health is not being properly carried out there. Infant mortality is there. So all these issues are persisting in the state of Bihar. Okay. Yes, so this you can see. Okay, this you can see. We are not going to see that one, but we will see what the special category status is actually, what it is. Okay, so when we talk about the special category status, it is not mentioned in the constitution, but it is a kind of financial assistance which is given by the central states, so that they are comparatively in the better stage. Okay, in other words, the states which are having disadvantages, like unlike the other states because of the different factors, so these states will be given certain kind of financial help by the central government. So this is called the special category status. Okay, now you see the classification was done by the recommendation of the Fifth Financial Commission in 1969. Okay, which should be given, which should not be given, and it is based on the Gadgil, okay, formula, and because it was given by him, so the five things it was given, okay, which is also later on the government has taken as a kind of guidelines, like the state which should be given the special category states has to be in the hilly terrain, a population has to be population density has to be low, or the very large amount of the population have to be the tribal population, and it has to be located in a very strategic, which comes near the border neighboring of the neighboring countries, and economic and infrastructure backwardness should be there, and no viable nature of the state finance, means they do have very poor financial condition. So some prominent guidelines which the center has to keep while granting the special category state status, so which I have just said, same thing have in here, that economically backward it should be there, poor with the poor infrastructure. Okay, and it should be location of this has to be in the hilly areas, and which is very challenging. Okay, and example, you can see the northeastern states, they are mostly located in the hilly areas. Okay, and because of that one, these states have, or they actually fit for the special category status. They should have a lower density population, at the same time the larger number of the tribal population have to be present there, and at fifth factor what we see, should be strategically situated along the border areas of the neighboring countries. So these points need to be kept in mind while the central governments gives the status of SCS. Now, who can grant this actually special? Who grants the special category status? It is given by before it was given by the National Development Council, but now it is granted by the central government. What benefits they will have? Benefits, we see benefits are in terms of grant only. That SC states will get 90% of the expenditure of the central sponsored scheme as central grant. So 90% in the schemes will be sponsored by the central government, and they will have to pay the 10%. Even the 10% will be also given to them as a loan at a very zero interest rate. Okay. Now, what are the issues related with this special category states? Considering special status of any states will result in the demand from the other states. So what we see, that if special category states is given to one state, okay, for example, the central government gives to Bihar, so many more states will come forward, they would also demand for the special category status. So this will emerge as one of the problems. Okay, second thing what we see, it is also not economically financial for the states to seek special status. Not, it will not benefit them economically also that much. Okay, because the current dispensation are very minimum. Okay, so even if they are given that special category status, okay, okay, therefore states facing a special problem will be better off seeking the special package. So they should seek a special package than this special category status. Present scenario, what happened? 14th Finance Commission, it said that the states of the northeastern and those who are in the hilly terrain area should be only given the special category status. Okay, and what is the alternative behind that one? There has to be more tax devaluation. Okay, center has to increase the states the share of tax from the 32 to 42%. Okay, so this was, and it was implemented also by the government. So mains questions can be easily made from there. Discuss the issues surrounding the grant of the special category status. So you can discuss, okay, you can include these points, okay, while writing. Third, we have got RBI allows payment banks and small financial bank to conduct government agency business. Okay, so this can be the part GS3 paper current affairs. Okay, so recently what happens? RBI, it has allowed that payment bank and the small financial bank, they are now eligible for any kind of government, okay, agency business. So any kind of project which is done by the government, they can be the agent of in this. Okay, yes. So in this what is important is actually this one. Okay, like payment bank and the small financial bank. So let us see the difference between these two. Okay, payment bank, it can accept deposit but only up to 1 lakh per individual customer. Okay, so 1 lakh only the person can deposit there. Okay, in the payment bank. What about the small financial bank? Okay, allowed to take deposit of any amount. They can deposit any amount of money in that. Okay, so that is the one difference. So in the prelims exam, this difference can be asked, or individually they can be asked actually, given all these points as a statement. Can't lend any form. Okay, this payment bank cannot lend any type of loan. On the other hand, small financial bank, they can lend, but the focus will be the small lending. Okay, they cannot lend a large amount of money to the customers. Another thing what we see here, okay, is can open a small saving account there. In the payment bank, one can open only small saving accounts, but in the small financial bank, okay, can finance small business units, small and the marginal farmers, micro and small industries, and unorganized sector entities. So these, all these things, all these categories of people can, they can get a loan from there. Okay, can provide remittance services. Remittance services means those people or workforce who work outside and they send some money. So that money has to be converted into Indian currency. So that service can be provided by the payment bank. Can provide remittance as well as the credit card. Okay, so credit card and the remittance service can be provided by the small financial bank, but credit card cannot be provided by the payment bank. That we need to keep in mind. Then we have got this allowed to issue automated teller machine, ATM or debit card. So they can allow this payment bank, they can allow only the ATM machine or the debit card. But here what we see, allowed to issue, this small financial bank, they have the right to issue ATM and the debit card also. Payment bank, they cannot issue this credit card, but they can issue. Okay, this small financial bank has to ensure that 50% of the loan portfolio constitutes advances up to 25 lakhs. So 50% of the loan has to be actually advance, means about the 25 lakhs. This has to be ensured that can distribute products such as mutual funds, insurance, and the third party loans. Okay, they can, like third party loans are there. Okay, the products are there which they can actually distribute. Okay, like you have got the mutual fund, insurance, or the any third party loan, this can do, can distribute the financial products as a mutual fund, insurance, and persons. Okay, this the small financial bank can also do that one. Okay, yes, right. Just wait. Okay, right. Let us see next. This is related to the same thing only what we had seen in this. Okay, like what is the small financial bank? A small financial bank means they precisely or mainly they give the loan to the country's undeserved and the unbanked areas which does not come in the formal banking sector. So there they can extend their loans. Okay, and they are registered in the public limit as a public limited company under the company sector 2013. And these banks, like other commercial bank, they can engage in all basic banking activities like lending and accepting deposit. A small financial bank, they can engage in that. And the financial inclusion of this small financial bank was suggested by the Nachiket More committee. So this is important, this can be asked. Okay, they can't extend big loans. They can extend loans but not very big loans. Okay, so that this we have to remember. Can't float subsidies or trade in high tech products. Even subsidies or the high trade in the high tech products, again they can't do. What about this payment bank which we had already seen? Okay, it was established basically to promote the financial inclusion, offering the small type of services like modest saving account, payment remittance service to the migratory labor force, low income household, small enterprises, other unorganized sector entities. So these people can take the service from the payment bank. They accept the deposit, but restriction is there. It is capped into 2 lakhs per person. They can accept this. Okay, these banks are unable to provide loan or the credit card. They cannot give the loans to the credit card. Okay, and they can handle only the current and the saving account. And they can provide the ATM card, debit card, as well as the online and the mobile banking. But credit card is not allowed. That we have to keep. Okay. So this was about this RBI, okay, allowing the payment bank and the small financial bank to conduct government agency work. Okay, let's see the next news that is related to. Okay, so these will be precisely helpful for the prelims point of view. So there is a news about the Raja Jait Singh. So this was also cited or by the Modi in that Kashi speech. So who is this Raja Jait Singh? He was like in by the 18th century, Banaras became the separate independent state, and before it used to come in the Nawab under this Awadh actually. Okay, and how this Banaras was able to become independent? It became independent in 1771 with the help of British authorities. Okay, and they became like they accepted the sovereign means authority of the British. That means indirect paramountcy was there here. Now what happened after some years, that time this East India Company head was the Hastings. Okay, and when the Hastings was fighting war with Mysore, they lacked the British government, British here, they lacked some resources. So they asked this uh, Maharaja Chet Singh to give some financial help to fight. Okay, additional revenue was sought from here so that they can fight the war there in Mysore. But what happens is Chet Singh failed to comply or could not give the resources or revenue which was asked by Hastings. Okay, so now Hastings started going towards Banaras to attack. Okay, this Chet Singh. Now what happened is several of the battle started there, and but in this battle what happened? Several of the Hastings army men they were killed. Okay, and Governor General that time Hastings did not have any option just to retreat, go back. And there is a very popular narratives which goes there. Okay, that it says like घोड़े पर हौद हाथी पर जीन काशी से भागा Warren Hastings. Okay, so this is the kind of this news is about the Raja Jait Singh. Okay, next we have got this Rani Bhabni. Okay, so this was also the personality which was said by Prime Minister Modi when he was delivering this speech in that Kashi. Okay, uh, he Modi highlighted the role of Rani Bhabni. Okay, from Bengal, and Bhabni was married to Ramkanta Roy, who was a Jamindar. And when the Ramkanta Roy died, she became the Jamindar. So let's see the contribution of this particular person. She was a philanthropic efforts of this particular, okay, Bhabni was very much remembered or appreciated. What she did actually, she opened several schools, okay, in Rajshahi district and offered a number of scholarship for them, for the poor, built more than 350 temples and guest houses across different parts of the country. And she really invested heavily in the roadways and water tank, built the Durga Kund Mandir in Varanasi. In 1755, she built the complex consisting of the dozen temple in Baron Nagar in Murshidabad. So she did a lot of contribution, okay, in the philanthropic areas. Okay, yes. Last we have got this SGTF test kit. Okay, so now in this test, what happens? This test is related or to check the Omicron virus. Okay, as gene test failure test. Okay, this is conducted. In this test, what they see, this test first of all is taken to detect early detection of this Omicron. Okay, and when they test this, if they find that there is an absence of SGN, this means this is a sign that particular person has uh, may have Omicron variant. Okay, because Asgen is not present in the Omicron variant. Okay, so this can be found out. So this was the news about this one. Okay, so we are done for the today. Okay, let us just once again see, and we will wind up. So first we saw the Durga Puja, which is inscribed as UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage list. Okay. Then after that we had seen news related to the Solar Masood and Raja Suheldev battle. Okay, we had seen about these personalities. Okay. Then we saw about the news related to special status of Bihar. Okay. Then we saw the news. Okay, of next, what is that? Yes, RBI allowing payment banks and the small financial banks to conduct government agency business. Okay. Then after that, we saw about Raja Jait Singh and all the information related to him. Then Rani Bhabni. Okay. And last we had seen the SGTF test kits. So we are done for today. I hope this discussion was helpful in one way or the other. Okay. We will see you tomorrow.